One more time. You got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright. How's everyone doing? How is everybody doing? We are live. The live streams are back. They're back. They are so back. We'll just wait for a few more people to get in here. What's everyone saying? It's a Monday night. We've got Newcastle tomorrow. Let's have a little bit of a chat. And we'll have some fun and games as well. I really enjoyed this when we did this on Thursday or Friday. Proby, yes. Josh, how you doing, mate? Hodgins, AOI. I think Felipe Luis would be the best manager to replace Frank. Well, we'll see. I'm not necessarily going to talk about Frank replacements in this stream, but feel free to put it in the chat and I'll react to it. It's not something I'm going to go into in loads of depth because we actually on the new episode of Only Tottenham, which is out now, me and Will discussed the fallout between the fans being the fans being the players, and also is Thomas Frank out of his depth at Tottenham. We went kind of in depth in that bit about potential new managers and all that kind of stuff. So that is out now. You can watch the shorter clips of it, but if you want to listen to the podcast, then obviously you can do that on all good podcast platforms as well. I implore you to go and do that. Obviously, usually me and Seb. Seb was away this weekend, so we had to run back the daring and doing dynamic. So if you want to go listen to Only Tottenham or go and watch the clips, they are out now. That's just reminded me, actually, I need to accept the collaboration invite on that for my own channel, but we will do that in due course. Also, there is a video out now on my channel previewing the Newcastle game. That is out and talking about why Xavi Simons is really crucial, in my opinion, to that. So make sure to go and watch that after this. But in this stream, obviously, we're going to be discussing Thomas Frank's quotes today, some of the fallout from the booing on Saturday, the toxic atmosphere, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's kind of rumbled on over the course of the last few days. You guys feel free to have your say on that as well. We're going to be talking about the rumours that the squad are starting to grow frustrated with Thomas Frank. That's come out this evening from The Sun. We'll talk about that in a minute. I was also on the Fighting Cock today. We kind of went into things in detail there as well, so go and listen to that. Like I said, go and watch the latest video. I also want to talk about his comments on Xavi Simons as well, which I sort of found slightly frustrating. So we'll get into that shortly. But I think we shall start with this. But before we do that, I'll come to some of your comments, what we all say and how is everyone doing. Make sure to subscribe and subscribe to the channel, like the stream as well. Paris269 says, would you sack Frank now? I mean, I don't see him turning it around. That's why I'd kind of want to make a change. I also do think the manager market isn't that strong right now, and almost it'll probably be in a better place to make a change in the summer when there's more options available. Also gives him a bit more time to turn it around, but I just think he will. I said on Saturday I think he's got to go. I made a YouTube video on Saturday as well when I got home from the game. Slightly calmed down a bit, but I just don't see him turning it around, and things are trending in a bad direction. Nathan Clark did this earlier, the kind of rolling XG map timeline over the course of Frank's tenure so far, post and you can see in terms of our XG created, it's on the decline. Every game, our also XG against is going up as well. Very similar kind of pattern to Nuno. It might be tempting for Spurs fans to look at results and say things started out reasonably well under Frank and then wonder why they quickly fell apart. But the truth is that we're never especially good, just lucky and energised by change, just like under Nuno. So similar patterns emerging there. Now, I was positive about Frank at the start because I think we needed someone after Ange to kind of steady the ship a little bit. I thought he was kind of the right almost antidote and the sort of in between previous managers that we had. And what previous managers we had on the defensive side, more like Conte, Mourinho, and obviously Ange as well. But I just can't stress how much better I thought he'd be than this. And sadly, at the moment, it does kind of just look like another Nuno. I think, obviously, I think we all ignored some of the... Well, not all of us. I think some of us ignored the red flags towards the beginning because when you get a big result away at City and obviously the performance against PSG in the Super Cup and naturally, considering how bad defensively we were last year, it's also fine to be pleased about improving defensively. and kind of showing those things. And there were glimpses in some of those early performances, and maybe we got too excited about some of the good bits that weren't as maybe good as we thought they were. Some of the performances like Leeds and stuff like that, but and Everton. But it's good to go away from home and be solid and score goals from set pieces, because these are things that we weren't doing last season. And especially when you think about the landscape of the league right now, it's important for us to be good at those things. But the reality is, in terms of our in possession stuff, we've seen decent games, decent moments, decent patterns, but on the whole, it's been really, really poor, and it's getting worse. And it's no wonder why, if this is true, which obviously Jack Ross is from the Sun, so you always kind of take it with a pinch of salt in terms of the eligibility or the sort of reliability of these comments. But growing frustration within the Tottenham squad towards manager Thomas Frank, as there is increasing confusion as to what roles players are being tasked with, as plans are thrown out or changed either close to kick-off or alarmingly early during games. Now, what do you guys think about this? Obviously, I would take it with a pinch of salt right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was necessarily true. Peter Gordon said, I still don't think he's had enough time. I think that's fair. I think, obviously, I understand why people want to give him time. I think this week is absolutely crucial for him, because when you look at the Premier League table, obviously we're 12th in the league at the moment on 18 points. If we lose to Newcastle, obviously they leapfrog us. We could end up 15th in the league by the end of Wednesday, and then you're looking at that game against Brentford at home on Saturday, who are already above us, will be really confident coming into that game against Tottenham, wanting to prove a point against Thomas Frank, who obviously left to go to a bigger club. And that, from a tactical perspective, games like Brentford have obviously been Thomas Frank's sort of kryptonite so far at Tottenham, in terms of teams that will sit in, make it difficult for you to break them down. And you just know that it's going to be a lackluster performance and potentially result there against Brentford. And then we could kind of plummet even further down the table. Like Nottingham Forest, within 2 games, could catch us up for points. If they win 2, we lose 2, we're down into 16th. And then we're looking at maybe where West Ham are. It's bleak. Equally, it could look a lot more rosy and we're on 24 points. Pushing ourselves back up to where the top 4 is. And obviously, those guys have still got to play, and of course, as well. But I just don't see anything else of this week other than 2 poor results. Brentford, who knows? We could win that game. But again, like on Saturday, I just wanted to see a convincing performance, and we didn't see it at all. Obviously, there were individual errors that contributed to that, and will mean that Frank will get slightly less of the blame because of what Vicario did, and I'll come on and talk about that as well, obviously. But we could be in a really bad spot come the end of this week. You probably couldn't ask for 2 worse games for Thomas Frank, in terms of Spurs going away to Newcastle, a ground that we never win. The hoodoo that's kind of there. We're not really in the space at the moment in terms of playing well enough to kind of break it. Yes, our away form has been good. Yes, I think we actually put in a decent performance against Newcastle away in the League Cup, where they played a fairly strong team. We did make changes, and maybe we can learn from some of what we did well in that game to potentially push us forward tomorrow. But I think in terms of morale and where the squad's at mentally, it's a lot more fractured and fragile than it was by the time we played, or when we played them in the League Cup. So there's obviously that to kind of factor in as well. McSlash says, should we just restart the season? Yes, I'm in favour of that. I'm coming from Romania, says Edward. Not that bad as you really, but I really hope they won't fuck up to the point I regret it. What game is that for? Are you coming over to watch? I just hope we've recovered from before. Oh, you're coming to the City home game. Yeah, nice. I mean, well, hopefully we're in a better spot by the time that comes around. When is that? Is that January, February? I think it's Feb, isn't it? Because we've got quite a difficult run of games in Feb. I looked at it. It's on the train to Spurs on Saturday. I'd give Frank until Christmas, says TF7 Coys. If he doesn't perform, get Xavi in and back him in the January transfer window. Xavi is one of the more enticing free agent managers. Yeah. Guys at 1212 says, heartwarming to hear you and Will back again. Thanks, mate. It was really good. The pod's good. Go and listen to it. It was a lot of good fun. Are you actually dating Seb? No. Either 31st Jan, 1st Feb. Yeah, I think you're right. Richard K 2019 says, like your content, man, keep going hard in these media populism days to find such reflective football content. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Not trying to be funny, but I genuinely think we get relegated this year if we keep Frank. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we will, but I put a tweet out about this on Saturday, which caused a bit of a stir amongst Everton Twitter, which I understand, to be fair, why they reacted in the way that it did. There was one Spurs fan in particular that was trying to cause a pile-on against me, but he doesn't like me and has subsequently deleted the tweet after people called him out. Because I said, what if we just become Everton? And obviously I tweeted that kind of after the game in kind of a reactionary, emotional kind of way, but like I meant as in sort of spiralling in towards just mediocrity in the way that they have done after being at a point where they were kind of competing near the Champions League place and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think we'll ever be in a bad financial position like they are in terms of FFP or anything, but just in terms of spiralling into that continual mediocrity when there was so much promise there before. And yeah, it is a bit of a worry to me. And I think this squad's better than this. I think it's a fairly talented squad. I think it's a slightly imbalanced one, of course, as well, but I don't think we're seeing it used to its kind of full capacity. Ange knows 90% of the squad. He'd make us better use of Simons and especially Kudus the way that we can over the whole. What if Ange season 3 that will always be in the back of my mind? Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't really think about the what if with Ange that much. I kind of just have boxed it away in terms of like, that is what was, and I'm so grateful for that in terms of what he's able to achieve, and I still think we were right to move on. But maybe we would have been in a better place with Ange still at the helm right now. That's obviously it's a complete unknown. We don't know that. We were in a better place this time last season with Ange than obviously with Frank. And I said this in my YouTube video off the back of the Fulham game. I did say the one thing that you can't question with Ange is the fact that he came in, had a pre-season to work with the players, establish and imprint his identity on the football club and the players. Pretty much laid out what his best team was straight away in the first early period of the season. And we went from there. And he did that the same in the second season as well, really. Obviously, things spiraled out of control with the injuries and whatever and how open we were. But it feels like Thomas Frank is not there in terms of knowing what his best side is. And it's a good thing having a pragmatic manager that can make changes and can have different kind of blueprints and styles. And some of those blueprints have worked effectively so far this season. But, you need to establish a consistent way of playing at home that gets the best out of your better players and allows you to dominate teams and control games in possession. And we're not doing that. And we did do that, to be fair, under Ange, especially at the start, and we're not doing that at the moment. So it's frustrating. It is frustrating. Look, the Ange revisionism is kind of, obviously, it's just I don't want to dip my toe into it too much because I think it was right for him to go. And if you don't, that's also absolutely fine. But I don't think it's crazy to say that we'd be in a better position under him now. But it is what it is. Let's go to the comments. Jened342 says, Sorry and Bentancur aren't good enough. They get so many chances, but they're too inconsistent. Yeah, I mean, Bentancur is a funny one. He's a really, really funny one. He's had some good games this season where he actually looks better kind of without Paulinho alongside him. Sarr has been in and out the team, started the season really well. Bentancur ducked out the way for a goal. How's he starting? Yes, against PSG. What do you think about Xavi? Should he be starting these matches or no? I think Xavi should start tomorrow. And I did explain that in... let me just go to... I was just using this as a shortcut to get to my channel. I did explain that in this video about how Tottenham set up against Newcastle and why I think Simons will be key to that. So go and watch that video. And there was some kind of concerning comments, I think, from Frank about Simons earlier, where he said there is a reason why we have Xavi here. I think he's a very good player. He's trained very well. It's not the first time a player steps into the Premier League and needs a bit of adaptation. But how's he actually going to get the opportunity to adapt if he's not getting minutes? That's what I don't really understand. These stats are incredibly concerning. No attacking player in the Premier League averages fewer touches in the opposition box than Xavi Simons. Is it a player issue or a coaching issue? I feel like where we're not controlling games, where we don't have a progressive pivot behind him to be able to feed him the ball in the right kind of areas, you're not seeing him operate enough in the areas where he can really affect the game. Now, I think Xavi Simons also kind of thrives in slightly deeper areas as well, and that's why I think against Newcastle, he can kind of come into it, and that's something I go into in the video where he sort of picks the ball up on the halfway line on the half turn and sort of drives with it. But you want him having lots of touches in and around the box and getting shots off. That's where he sort of was devastating against Leipzig. And obviously it's a different league, of course it is, and there is an adaptation period, of course. but I don't think he's actually going to be able to adapt and feel himself in if he's not playing. And I think actually, like, in sort of up until that Man United game, I think you were starting to see things come together a little bit more for him against Copenhagen, against Man United, where he was sort of getting a bit more rhythm and actually playing a bit more consistently in the position where he wants to play and is best suited to. And it feels like that the rug's just been pulled from underneath him a little bit, and obviously he's not started the last 3 games. I think it's unacceptable that he isn't playing against Fulham at home in a game like that. I really don't understand that. Gary Bradley says, I feel like Xavi hasn't been helping himself recently. I think he takes too many touches on the ball, especially in deeper areas, and slows the play down quite a bit. Also, he's struggling physically. Maybe at points, maybe that's fair. Sometimes he does get shrugged off the ball, but that can happen. Most of these number 10s are sort of a bit lightweight and nimble because it's also a strength for them. We have some of the most technical... Zachary Stanek says, we have some of the most technical players in the Prem, but our game plan is just spam crosses into the box. I do not understand why not play through the middle and utilise the strengths. We don't play through the middle at all. And that is where a player like Simons is not being able to affect the game, because we do not play through the middle of the pitch. We are scared to play through the middle of the pitch. It's just... I don't think we've got the right profile in terms of a deep line midfielder to sort of feed these balls constantly through. But I think there's got to be a tweak in the structure and the game plan to allow more central progression in whatever way, whether that's playing Bergvall deeper, which I think is one solution. Gray maybe as well. I don't think Paulinho is the answer in that aspect, and it's some of the concerns that I had about him coming into the season, even though I think he's excelled in some parts of his game and in certain games as well in terms of the out of possession and stuff. But is it worth it for what the lack of quality offers you in possession? I don't know. It's just, guys, exactly. Like Copenhagen, for example, played through the middle of the pitch, created, combined, in and around tight, in those kind of little pockets, in tight spaces with Odebear, Kola Mawani, sort of had a bit more of a free role to go and do what he wanted. And yes, of course, it was poor opposition, but it feels like that game plan just goes out the window again. Every time he's landed on something that's slightly more positive and we can kind of get behind in terms of the game plan and the style of play and the quality of football that we're seeing, it then just goes out the window. Would I sign João Paulinho? I don't think so, mate. I don't think so. I think we can have 2 really solid midfields, but we're just mixing them like absolute shit. Yeah. It's a hard watching midfield at the moment. But I think Simons. I actually think tomorrow is quite a well suited game for Xavi Simons. But we'll see if he does. We'll see if he does play him, because I thought he played well against Newcastle in the League Cup. So yeah. Anyway, make sure to like the stream. Make sure to subscribe as well, guys. If you are new, share it with people you might think might like it, and all that good stuff. Obviously, trying to grow the channel and trying to really kind of go at this again, find consistency, of course. And I appreciate your guys' support as always. So what do I want to talk about next? So yeah, obviously the growing frustration. This wouldn't surprise me, but obviously we don't know if it's true. But it's just like increasing frustration as to what roles players are being tasked with. Bear in mind, he's someone that's so meticulous, and so like his big thing at Brentford was improving players. Maybe it's the fact that also where he's got 3 games a week. Obviously, he's not used to that. He doesn't have as much time to do individual coaching and improve and develop players. It's just not... They just haven't got the time for it. Maybe that's where some of these game plans have been thrown out the window, or like players feel like they're not being coached as intensely or as in depth they thought they maybe would be, because Frankie's struggling to juggle the amount of games that we've got, potentially. Louis Harvey says, reckon Mainu is worth going for. I made a TikTok about this earlier. I actually did. I made a TikTok about this earlier. We can watch it if you want. So I don't just repeat myself. Let's watch it. There's Ollie. Make sure to go and follow me on TikTok as well, by the way, on both accounts, Ben Bowman and then Ben Bowman THFC. Can you guys... Let me just mute myself. January. We'll have a look. I really feel for Kobbie Mainoo. This is the face of someone that has accepted that they're just not going to be a part of what Ruben Amorim wants to do. And this has obviously been the case since the start of the season. There's only started 1 game for them against Grimsby in the League Cup. Obviously, Man United don't necessarily have they're not playing in any other competition in Europe, and the FA Cup hasn't started yet. So it's just been the league for them to focus on. So Ruben Amorim hasn't really needed to rotate that much, and has settled on that midfield pivot. Casemiro has improved this season. Bruno Fernandes, I know everyone says that he should play further forward, but he still is performing for Manchester United in that role, even though it might not be getting the best out of him necessarily. That's what Amorim has landed on, and it's a very difficult situation for Kobbie Mainoo. It feels like pity minutes at the end of games. This is a guy that should be starting for them. Man United fans feel like that. Of course, Man United fans want to be winning games as well, and the more they do win games, the lesser the noise will be there about Kobbie Mainoo. But I still think he should look to pursue a move away in January. Now, I think that his agent would probably have advised him that a loan move is better for him, because they may be looking at Ruben Amorim. And even though they won yesterday, I'm still not sure whether he is the guy for Man United long term. And Kobbie Mainoo has got a long, long way to go in his career, and he will outlast Amorim at Man United, whatever happens. But it might get to the point where, if I'm Tottenham, I'm 100% looking at this guy in January. Tottenham have been linked with improving that attack. We've apparently got £100 million to spend in January. We need a midfielder. We need someone that can get in there, drop deep, pass forwards, link the defence to the attack, drop in between the centre halves, pick the ball up on the half turn, and not be scared to play the ball through the lines. I'm kind of sick of seeing that Paulinho Bentancur pivot in recent games. We haven't quite seen it as much, but Paulinho again against Fulham with a poor performance. And I think Kobbie Mainoo, although he's not as elite as someone like Paulinho in terms of winning the ball back, offers you a far more well-rounded option, and he's going to be someone that's hungry to prove themselves again. So if we could get him for 6 months, if we're still in the Champions League come the second half of the season, hopefully he can go on a good FA Cup run as well. There'll be plenty of games for him as well. And the thought of someone like Mainoo with Bergvall and Simons in midfield, that's a really exciting kind of proposition. And I feel like it's someone that, you know, Frank would like, whether Frank is still here by that point, who knows? But I feel like he's the sort of midfielder that would make our midfield far more well-rounded, far more progressive, and also more balanced. I just don't see a way he's there in January. I think he will look for a move away. I thought Nicky Butt's comments were actually quite spot on about it, saying the fact that if Kobbie Mainoo was playing for Crystal Palace week in, week out, Man United would go and buy him, or look to go and buy him. They're linked with Wharton, they're linked with Anderson, they're linked with these guys. And I'm not saying Mainoo is as specialist at someone like a Wharton in terms of constantly playing on the front foot and punching between the lines. Anderson, again, is a bit more of a well-rounded package, in my opinion, than Adam Wharton. But Mainoo, I don't think he's that far at his best from that level at all. And he's already done it for England on the biggest stage, which is something that we're clamouring to get these guys into the England team for. It's a weird situation. So, those are my thoughts on Kobbie Mainoo, for whoever asked. Someone said, I already think we have a decent pivot in Bergvall and Gray. Yeah, you could argue just trusting those guys rather than bringing in Kobbie Mainoo on loan for 6 months. I just feel like obviously, I think in January we need to prioritise an improvement to that forward line in terms of whether that's a winger or a number 9. I actually think number 9, I'm not so sure I would look at. Probably wait for the summer. I do think maybe on the left-hand side we need someone with that kind of X factor that can score goals, elevate that attack. Yeah, that's fine. But I think in terms of recruitment, we need to prioritise players that can pass the ball and pass forward and add that sort of level of quality. And I think Kobbie Mainoo on loan for 6 months doesn't really bloat the squad out too much, I guess. The Bentancur contracting, I think, is bizarre. And I don't know. What do you guys think about that, Kobbie Mainoo? I think that Paulinho with a bulldog like Sarr and someone like Bergvall Xavi would be a world-class midfield. I'm not sure it'd be world-class, but yeah, I think if you can partner Paulinho up with someone more progressive, it solves some of the issues. But yeah, I'm still frustrates me. But maybe that would help solve the issue somewhat. Players frustrated with Frank. Was it Frank who made the two horrible mistakes within 8 minutes? No, it wasn't him, but one, I think, is systemic of the setup. Is a mistake caused by the system. The second one is a horrible individual error, of course, from Vicario. But let's not pretend like that was the only thing that cost us in the game on Saturday. It was also the way that we set up. Not from minute 1, but give them 6 months for our kids to grow. Yeah, love players that pick the ball up instantly and look to progress the ball forward. Zachary, yeah, I agree. Can't believe I'm saying this, but we lack that Basuma type player. I actually agree. Like, I do think Basuma at his best would be really helpful for us right now. Really, really helpful for us at the moment. But we're just not going to see that, are we? Mainly or Alex Scott in Jan. Yeah, Alex Scott would be another one I think that we could look at. But I think he's almost quite similar to Bergvall. Mainly and Bergvall would be wicked. Don't think Frank would give him a run of games though. Yeah, probably not. Probably not. We can dream, though, Jay Harris tweeted this earlier. After the October international break, I wrote a piece about Tottenham's next 12 games will be a huge test. They've taken 4 points from 6 Premier League games and been knocked out of the Carabao Cup. Spurs need positive results against Newcastle and Brentford. Otherwise, we could find ourselves in a really difficult position in the table. So, on to the Vicario fallout. The Spurs squad have no issue with fans expressing their views at half-time and full-time, but there was a sense of disappointment around the reaction to Vicario's error, which led to Harry Wilson's goal. Now, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit sick of this chat around what happened with Vicario, because I do feel like it's a bit of a distraction from what the bigger issues are, which are, for me, the way that we're setting up in these games, the in-possession game plan, the fact that we're not being able to dominate lesser sides, the fact that the games like Fulham and Brentford next Saturday have kind of been Frank's kryptonite so far, and we're paying extortionate amount of money to go and watch our team. I worked it out that I've paid £333 per our last 3 home wins. My season ticket costs just over £1,000. There's plenty of Spurs fans that are paying more than that for their season tickets as well, and it's cost them a hell of a lot of money to see victories at home, which have been few and far between. We are currently on course for the lowest ever wins in a calendar year at Tottenham Hotspur, and it's just unacceptable, really. And I do feel like the players kind of have to suck it up a little bit. Is it right to single out Vicario? Not particularly, but I feel like it's been a build-up of some of the other mistakes that he's made, his deflection onto other players, the blaming of other players, the pointing of fingers after he has just come out of his goal, not being able to kick the ball off the ground with his left foot, which is basic, absolutely basic, especially in the context and the backdrop of us just conceding a goal, especially off the backdrop of us putting in pathetic performances against Arsenal and Chelsea. These fans have had enough. They've had enough. It's an animalistic kind of instinctive reaction to boo, and I don't necessarily think it's right to single out an individual player. We've been down this road before with sarcastically applauding the likes of Dyer, Sanchez, Lloris, those kind of guys, which almost in a way is worse. So patronising, right? But I'm just a bit sick of us fans being told how to feel. Now, Thomas Frank came out and said, he was asked today what his definition of a true Spurs fan is. And this is the thing, that his comments have become the dominant narrative over the course of the last few weeks, when actually I want journalists to be asking him about the setup in games and why we're not being more brave and punching down rather than kind of only really performing in games where you sort of punch up a little bit more. I think all the fantastic fans believe we have believed they're true Spurs fans. Some react in one way, some react in another, some are a little bit in between. No matter what, we need all of them. So he's sort of almost not backtracking, but he's kind of trying to diffuse the situation, which I understand. But he should have never have said you're not a true Spurs fan if you boo Vicario. I understand he's emotional in the heat at the moment after the game, of course, but he has to understand that those fans are as well. That's why they booed. And it's a two-way street, right? Football fans generally in this country are reactionary. That's why atmospheres aren't the greatest, but up and down the country. But we react to what's happening on the pitch. It's not like in Germany where you get the kind of constant drone of support and that constant backing throughout the 90 minutes, whatever's kind of happening, really. In England, it's different. We need to see something to get behind. Of course, the fans have got to get behind the team and be more proactive. But they're going to be more proactive going into games if we put a string of results and performances together to then actually make you want to turn up and go and support the team and pay that hard-earned money to go and watch that team, right? It's like under Ange, obviously. We lost 4-1 to Chelsea, and it's one of the best atmospheres we've ever had, because it's like fans saw something that they could believe in, whether it was naive at the time on reflection or not, which it probably was. It obviously was, but we didn't feel like that at the time. We were believing in what we were seeing under Poch, like regardless of whether we maybe lost a game or whether a player made a mistake in the game, that fans wouldn't get on the players' backs in the same way because we were moving in the right direction, seeing something to believe in. We are getting taken the piss out of as a fan base in terms of the money that we pay and how turgid our home performances have been. So I think it's incredibly wrong to turn that back on the fans and start telling them how to behave and start telling them who's a true fan and who's not a true fan. I think the players, yes, of course, it's not great to single out individual players, but I think they've got to suck it up and get on with it. None of this is the fault of the match-going fans that go to these games. It's not. It's not their fault. If you want to blame anyone, it's not the fans who pay their hard-earned money to go and get just get behind the team by default. Of course, you have to get behind the team, but it's like if you're seeing what we're currently seeing, why? Like, there's nothing to believe in, is there? Really, guys have said you can't say that he's not good enough. He's not got enough in the bank to be calling fans out. You need to be Fergie to do that. I agree, mate. The communication for the man and the messaging for the manager is important. Frank has got that wrong, even though I didn't agree with the boo myself. Choose your words carefully. Yeah, that's exactly. Like, I totally understand why he's going to stick up for Vicario. I just think he could have worded it a lot better. And like I said, I understand that he's reacting in an emotional, immediate way after the game, just like we are. So he's got to be more understanding of that. And I just feel like it's been a bit of a deflection away from what the true issues actually are at Spurs. And unfortunately, I think the players are kind of paying the price for, you know, a sort of a broken, fractured relationship between the fans and the people above the manager and the players, the people who run the club. Because those are the guys making the decisions in terms of the ticket prices, etc. Levy's obviously gone now, but for years we've been fed sort of false promises, lie after lie after lie after lie, been let down, not lived up to the hype and the kind of ambition and belief of where the club want to go. They've not delivered on that, right? And unfortunately, the players are in the firing line for that as well. And when they're making mistakes, they're going to get booed. The fans are going to show their displeasure whether the players like it or not. And I just think, unfortunately, it's not nice, but they've got to suck it up and accept that it's part of the game, in my opinion. Fans are allowed a voice. I didn't boo, but I don't blame anyone that did, really. Do I think it's right to single out an individual player? No. But do I think it's right for Vicario to start pointing his fingers at everybody after making his own mistakes? Yes, those players should have got back on the line and protected the goal, but he should be sprinting back to his goal. He should be launching the ball out to the sideline for a throw and sprinting back. He should be able to kick the ball off the ground with his weaker foot. He's not a kid. So that's where I get frustrated at these players sometimes for coming out. And I know Vicario, sort of, to be fair to him, he didn't. He was like, look, I'm old enough to accept it. I get it. And fair play to him for that. But for Frank to say the fans aren't real fans, I think that's bollocks, quite frankly. So, yeah. The player just got to get a grip of themselves. Give us something to believe in, and we will get behind you. I'm the sort of fan, I always go with the attitude of like wanting to get behind the team, and I always sing, and I always chant, I always support the team. The atmosphere where I sit is pretty crap, right? So there's not many people getting involved or anything, and I'm not saying that I'm the only one sitting up there doing anything. But disagree about Ange managing these situations well. I didn't say, are you responding to a comment or what? Yeah, he got that all wrong about Man City for sure, Dr. Phillips. Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, sorry, you're responding to the previous comment. Edward said, I think we were a lot more forgiving under Ange because he knew how to manage this type of situation. Yeah, I mean, Dr. Phillips is right in the sense that he didn't handle the Man City game well, in my opinion. But I think Ange had more probably credit in the bank because there was more to believe in on the whole, I guess. And also, he had a lot more to deal with in terms of the injuries and stuff like that. I just don't like how this situation has been the dominant narrative over the last few days when there are so many bigger issues at Spurs on the pitch. He said Vic is remarkable. His character is fantastic in every aspect. It's about how you carry yourself. Look, I think Vic is a good leader. I think he's a good guy to have around. But he's just got to deal with that. He's just got to deal with that situation better. Apparently, Inter Milan really appreciate him. They tried to sign him previously, but couldn't put it off. Who knows where that kind of leads. THFC players discuss in detail the disconnect with the club's fans and their team meeting. Now the issue is viewed as critical within the squad. Like I said, you give us something to get behind, we will get behind you. It's kind of as simple as that in football, in English football. We've seen 3 home wins in 21. We want to get behind these lads. I think this is a decent squad. But it's just not good enough. It's not acceptable. 1 win in 7. And then you look at the teams that we lost to as well. Bournemouth haven't won another game away all season. Wolves haven't picked up a point away all season other than us. Fulham hadn't won a game away all season. Had the second worst away record in the league. Above Wolves. Man United's away record has been slightly better. Aston Villa, it's just... it's incredible. It's just incredibly frustrating. Pedro Porro's comments. I just found this all a bit weird and slightly performative. Maybe I'm being a bit too cynical and a bit harsh. What he come out and did and said and what I don't know, find it very annoying, to be honest. I think these players have got to accept that we do support this club. We turn up. Yes, the atmosphere can be a bit toxic at times. I'm not saying our fan base are perfect. But we want that connection. We want to build it. The club is... The actions of the club have led to that relationship kind of being fractured. But I think these players have got to get a grip. The mentality of the squad, I think, is just weak still, especially off the back of winning a trophy. Perform. Do better. I know it's not easy. And I hate being like this. I don't like sort of being like angry and annoyed like this, but it's just like I've come to my wit's end with it, with the amount of shit that we've had to put up with. I really do. And I found these sorts of comments and statements and whatever. Just put it on the... Let's see it on the pitch. My bigger issue is the manager in terms of the way that he's setting us up. But these players, man, they've got to have a look at themselves. I really do believe that. I really do believe that. I don't think it's right to single out and boo an individual player. But I think there's been a build-up of a lot of factors within that led to that point. I'm just so fucked off of it. Anyway, to finish up, we've been going for 35 minutes. Let's play some Football 501. We did this on the last stream. So anyone that wants to take me on, if you guys don't know what Football 501 is, generationfootball.co.uk, it's great. I've done it a few times. I've been on their show. They've got a really good YouTube channel, which you should go and check out. If you want to binge some football quiz content, make sure to go and watch that. Garrett's on it all the time. Seb's latest episode was out today. I've done it a few times. We filmed a brilliant Christmas episode that's coming out soon. I've done 501, the spin and score and stuff. Me and Seb done it together. I've been on there 3 times. And we filmed some great stuff. So if anyone wants to take me on, Football 501, basically, it's like darts, right? So you start with 501 and you've got to check out using scores of under 180. We did Spurs categories on the last stream. Maybe we'll start with the Spurs one, but it's basically, I'll show you what it is, right? So you've got different categories: appearances, goals, assists, clean sheets, Premier League only. Then you can pick from any of the teams that have played in the Prem, nationalities, and goalkeepers. So if I was to randomise Spanish players that have made Spanish Nottingham Forest assists in the Premier League, or South African players that have played for Fulham, like obviously that's just a non-starter, or like top Spanish goal scorers in the Premier League. And then you go from 501 and you get down and check out to 0. We did Spurs categories, right? But it's difficult. It's difficult. So maybe we'll do one Spurs one. Should we just do like... What we'll do is I'm going to put the code... Oh. So they've just launched their website as well. So if you want to play, you can sign up to be a member on that. It's very cheap. It's good. Create online room. So I'm going to create a room. Whoever jumps in the room first, I'll take you on. So whoever puts that code in, I played a few guys on the last stream. It was good fun. So whoever joins first will... Who's in? The guest is in. Who is it? Show yourself in the chat. Who is it? We'll play a couple of games of this. Anyone else find what Porro did really cringe? I did it. I'll be honest. I did. I like Porro, but I did as well. I've been pretty incongruous to be all sweetness and light, to be fair, right now, mate. Yeah, exactly. It's Josh Patel. Right, let's go. So, do we kick off with a Tottenham one? Do we kick off with a Spurs one? The thing is with Spurs, we did this the other day. I think we did like Premier League assists. It gets tough. It gets tough. I think we did Spurs goals as well. We could just do all-time Spurs appearances if you want. We could just do all-time Spurs appearances, and then we'll do one Spurs, and then we'll do one non-Spurs. Oh, Seb's in the chat. Hey, Pookie. Me and Seb are both going to Newcastle tomorrow. We've got to drive up there in the morning, so that'll be fun. But there'll be some good content that comes out of it. Let's just start with all-time Premier League appearances. So for Tottenham, so I will kick off with who would be a good score. So if anyone doesn't know the rules, obviously 180 max score. All of the darts bogey numbers will trip you up as well, so you won't get scores for them. And yeah, right. Who under 180 for Spurs? Let's go with in the Prem. I did this the other day. Kyle Walker is 181. I know that for a fact. Let's go Toby Alderweireld. I don't think he'd be over 180. 174. Come on. What's the website? Generation Football. I'll stick it in the chat for you guys to play. That's a very weird comment. Dele Alli 181. That's unlucky. That is unlucky. Let's go for. Had a good start. 174. I think. Ericsson will be over. I think Walker was just over from memory. Let's go with Anthony Gardner. Just popped into my head. 114, nice. Josh was unlucky. Who's he going to go for? Christian Romero, nice. Yeah, nice. Good score. I'm going to go for Davinson Sanchez. 143. Oh, I feel like I've got an answer. I feel like I've got one in my head. I don't know if it's perfect. I know one that's going to get me down there. Danny Rose, yeah, good. I thought Danny Rose might just be over, but... Now, I know one that's like 63 that will get me... I know that off the top of my head that will get me down there, but let's go with... 70. So... let's go with the... I think he's going to be just over. Let's go with the talk of the town, the man at the moment, Guillermo Vicario. -2. Nearly a perfect checkout. 72 Premier League appearances for Spurs, Guillermo Vicario. I win. Good game, Josh. I'm going to create another room. If anyone wants to join in, first to get in. How did Anthony Gardner play? 140 games. Mate, honestly, I think he was there longer than you think. Right, got another one. Let's do random. Let's not do Tottenham because you do limit yourself a little bit with Tottenham. And obviously we'll just keep in the same answers. Let's randomise it, get a good one. Premier League assist for Newcastle. Argentinian Premier League assist. Clean sheet. Okay, this is a good one. Premier League midfielder goals all time. Are we happy with that? This will be the last game. Let's do that. So I'm going to go off the bat with... I think Lampard might be... 177 for Lampard. Nearly 180. Avoiding those bogey numbers as well. What's... How do I pronounce your name, by the way? Kevin De Bruyne, 72. Let's go with Steven Gerrard. 121. Luca, how you doing, mate? He's thinking. He's mulling it over. He's plotting. Who's he going to go with? Cesc Fabregas is low, mate. It's low. Let's go. It's Football 501 on Generation Football's website. Is the game. 203. Let's go Paul Scholes. 107. Got some catching up to do, mate. By the way, candy kittens. Class. David Silva. 60 Premier League goals for David Silva. Right. Now, when you're playing the game, Steffi, who's a producer, will tell you whether you can check out on this number. So I don't know. There might be a 96. There might be a perfect checkout, but I don't know. If anyone wants to Google for me, if there is a player that scored 96 goals in the Premier League, just don't tell me who they are, so I know if I can get it bang on. That would be really helpful. Well, that wouldn't be helpful, but like it'd be good to know. Don't tell me who the player is. If someone just Googles, is there a player that scored 96 goals exactly in the Premier League? Score predictions for tomorrow, Ben. I want the honest truth. I think we'll lose 2-1. That's my honest prediction. But fuck it, we'll go there and get a point. Or maybe we'll win. Who knows? If someone wants to look that up for me. What do we reckon? De Bruyne is not in the 100 club, is he? I don't think De Bruyne is in the 100 club. There is no one. There is no one. Okay. I'm going to go with De Bruyne. I don't think he's got 100 Premier League goals. Oh, shit. I already guessed De Bruyne. I did not pay attention to that. Gone for Ryan Giggs. It's gone for Ryan Giggs. Right, I've got another chance for 96. I want Tell to start up top tomorrow. I'd still start Conan Mawani, to be honest. But I think Tell deserves more game time. Right, 96. Midfielder that's got 96 Premier League goals in the Prem. Lampard's gone, Gerrard's gone, Scholes has gone, Giggs has gone, De Bruyne has gone, David Silva's gone, Fabregas has gone. And there is not a perfect checkout. Who else would be up there in terms of big boy numbers? Over the years. I'm pretty sure Bruno's got 100. Or has he got 100 goals for Man United? Let's try Bruno Fernandes. 64. All right, that's all right. That's not a bad score to be left on. So 32. But I have opened the door for him to get back in this. Ericsson was like 70, wasn't he? Someone must have scored exactly 32. I just said Bruno Fernandes. Oh, he's had a mare. He's had a mare. I've already said Bruno Fernandes. I literally just said it. That was my last guess. 32 Premier League goals. Which midfielder has got 32 Premier League goals? I'm going to go rogue. 50. Shit. Went for Danny Murphy. No, he's already gone for David Silva. David Silva was like 60 something. Unless you're thinking Bernardo Silva, which... No, I think Bernardo Silva will have more than that. Gylfi Sigurdsson, that's a good shout. 67. He's chipping away. 32 Prem goals. I'm going to Jermaine Genius. Oh! Perfect checkout. This is what he does. This is what he flipping does. This is what he does. Right, you've got to get 1-4-4, which I don't think is possible. It's been against boys, this. It's unbelievable. I've had a lot of practice, to be fair. That is unbelievable. Yara Torre 60. Well played, mate. Well played. Right. That's where I'm going to leave the stream for today, guys. I massively appreciate all you guys tuning in. Like I said, my one last little push for these little bits is my match preview for the Newcastle game is out now. So make sure to go and watch that. Also, the new episode of Only Tottenham, the podcast, Mine and Seb's podcast, is out now. I did it with Will this week. So go and you can watch the clips, 2 broken down segments, or you can go and listen to the full thing wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to go and subscribe to Only Tottenham as well. The link is in the description, I believe. If not, then just go and search it. You'll be doing me a massive favour. And I'll see you after the Newcastle game tomorrow night with a video. So I'll see you there. Up the Spurs. Hopefully we'll get a result. And go to my Xavi Simons video. Go to the preview and leave your score predictions in the comments for that one. See you later, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. All the best. Up the Spurs.